Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Pro Wrestling Weekly. It is Wednesday, your only place to be if you want to talk all things pro wrestling. Not sports entertainment, but pro wrestling. Joining me tonight, we have a new guest on tonight, Russ, all the way from Leeds, a good friend of Daz who put him in touch with me. Russ, welcome to the show. Let our
Thank you
viewers
very
know
much.
what you do. And that kind of
Hey,
stuff.
my name's Russ. I'm the Midnick Overlord. I've been watching wrestling pretty much all my life, and I am very, very excited to be here to talk wrestling and news, and most importantly, what's coming up in the professional wrestling business.
Excellent. Good stuff. Well, we've a packed show tonight. We're going to be going through our usual rundown of all the latest news and events that have been happening. We're going to be talking about a stacked month for pro wrestling, some amazing shows coming up. And of course, we will delve into the history of the business as we always do to round out the show. And we have a nice list of some notable birthdays in there that you will enjoy. Some current, some not so current. In the chat at the moment, Sean is there. Big up, Sean. Well, Niall, hope your week is going well thus far. Wore my punk hoodie to the theatre show and was complimented. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. And also, hello, young fella. There he is.
Yes.
Welcome, Russ,
Hello.
to the show. There you go. Sean comes on the show from time to time. We did a show not so long ago on he's a big ECW fan and stuff like that. But Sean has done a couple of collectors' corners, and he's going to be coming on to do shows looking at the local scene here, over the top wrestling and stuff like that. The big shows coming up, and we're going to be previewing them with Sean and all, which should be fun. And the man who put this one together tonight, big up Niall, Russ.
Hey,
there you go, big up Daz. So thanks for the hookup, as they say. Always good to have other people on. Yeah, I'm class. There you go. Love it. Yeah, but so looking at this month, obviously, Russ, we got Battleground coming up this Saturday / Sunday, if you like. From the Apex in the UFC Apex in Vegas. Very interesting. Obviously, you can see from the background there, Jordan Grace versus Roxanne Perez is going to be unbelievable. The crossover, we are going to talk about it. But what's your general thoughts on this crossover stuff? How do you feel about it?
Well, I used to watch a lot of TNA back in 2012, 2013, so I've seen the best that the business can bring. I haven't really been catching up with it recently, given the whole AEW TNA crossover thing. I'm not really being a big fan of it. But after seeing Jordan Grace in the Royal Rumble, she really does suit the WWE atmosphere and the WWE ring. It's going to be amazing to see witness history as TNA and NXT crossover. However, I do feel like this will not be the only crossover we should have. I feel like talent from TNA could really mix in well with the NXT crowd, and more importantly, the NXT pay-per-views, and especially with the TNA pay-per-view right around the corner. Who's to say a member of the NXT can't go to TNA?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very interesting. And imagine if Jordan walks away with the belt, imagine what would happen there with the follow-on. Obviously, next week then we have Against All Odds. We have Clash at the Castle Sunday coming up this week as well. We've got New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion, which looks like a stack card as well. And we will talk about that later. One, L.J. Cleary, friend of the show, but also very good friend of the shop as well, is on that card. So that's going to be absolutely excellent as well. And then we round out the month with Forbidden Door. So a stacked month this month to look at shows and review them and do all that kind of stuff. Sean is in. He's saying the UFC Apex is the worst sports venue in the world. Absolutely zero atmosphere there. I'm sure the NXT crowd will change that up. But I think I look at it, it holds about 1,400 or 1,000 or something like that. It's not huge. So
it's not huge. However, the NXT, if you actually see the arena, it's not usually that big anyway. They only really go to stadiums when it's the pay-per-views. So it'd be nice to kind of see something like the Apex arena. It's more their style, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it'll also show the reason they're running it obviously is because they own it. So there's probably no cost there in terms of using the venue and stuff like that and all, which obviously makes a big difference. But it's going to be interesting to see. I wonder how they did. Any idea, Russ, how they did with the tickets and all? How did the ticket allocation go? Because, if there's only 1,400 tickets or whatever it was, or 1,000, these must have been hoovered up really, really quick.
I I can't say for certain. I haven't really looked on the ticket prices and like seeing how they're going. However, if it unites NXT and TNA fans, then I could probably say it will be stacked, especially with the talent they got on there. Ethan Page versus Trick Williams for the NXT Championship, as announced last night. Big, big match is going to be in this, and if that don't fill the seats, then I don't know what will.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's sure to be a stacked event. Uh,
Mm.
Where are we going? Sean, Ian first. WWE to buy out TNA. I don't think they'll buy it out. I think it's just coming under that Endeavor umbrella and stuff like that. And I think they've learned from previous about buying out promotions. It doesn't always work out the best. Best to keep them there, even if they're under the same umbrella. You can create that kind of narrative and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. 1,400 to 1,000. When UFC run it, it sounds like there's about 20 people there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No,
Look,
I think they'll dress this up pretty good and it'll look the part.
the thing is
Um,
with NXT, especially compared to like the UFC, the NXT and professional wrestling business, it generates a lot of hype. You can get behind the people. It's not like UFC where you've got to sit, you got to watch the fight, and then something exciting comes up and you're like, yes, come on, like someone's got someone in a headlock and they're trying to break out of it. You get that hype, and there's a lot of crowd work when it comes to NXT and WWE. However,
mm,
with the UFC, there's not really a lot of crowd work. It's more just two people going in there, and then whoever wins wins.
yeah. How do you feel about obviously against all odds then coming up next week? Do you think the talent? Do you think they will give the rub back if you like? A lot of talk about whether NXT talent will show up at against all odds, which I think will be really cool.
I think for like just for the business itself, yes, I think that would be fantastic, because a lot of the competition before AEW even came in was WWE versus TNA, and because of that like rivalry that happened, it's finally nice to see them two working together. I feel like some great matchups could be in TNA. I also feel like this could be some great matchups for the TNA roster in NXT. One person who I would love to see go to NXT is Joe Hendry. He's massively popular right now, and he deserves to be in the big leagues. I'm not saying main roster yet, but NXT is perfectly fine. Give him maybe the North American title. He can work. He can really work. He's become massively popular, and yeah, just to think of the buzz whenever you hear his music. Imagine that in an NXT arena. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, there's talk going around at the moment as well that he might rock up a Clash at the Castle.
That would be fantastic. He's
Yeah,
Scottish, so it would make sense.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, what was your thoughts on SmackDown last week? We delved back into some of the shows and stuff like that. SmackDown last week, AJ Styles announcing his retirement, and then of course the baby blue suit was kind of the giveaway that certainly retirement was not going to happen. But it was interesting to see the parallels and the comparisons with Mark Henry and that lovely peach salmon suit that time
Yes.
turning. And stuff like that. What was your thoughts on AJ Styles, and kind of give us your overall thoughts on AJ probably since he's come back and stuff like that? Certainly
Well,
jacked up and stuff, and certainly not looking at retirement.
he, yeah, 100% he's jacked up, and you can tell that he's roaring and he's ready to go. However, since his return, I personally don't feel like he's done anything substantial.
Mm.
Um, See, this is just my opinion. I thought it with his first title defense as well, Cody Rhodes. With it being the main event, there's no like I can't really be built up for it, just simply because the better matches were always on like earlier in the card. So, like for example, starting out with the no holds barred match, I'll go to Backlash for this. Going back to Backlash, the opening of the card was the Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, and the debut of what's his face? It's Tam or something. I can't remember his name fully, but
Kamatonga
yeah, that's the one. Tama Tonga.
and
That
Tonga
to
Loa.
me, that's the
Mm.
one. Tonga Loa. They've like that just generate too much hype for that show and for SmackDown. That to me, the main event didn't really appeal to me as much. I'm a big fan of Cody Rhodes. I'm a big fan of AJ Styles. I cried when Cody won the belt, but just right now, to me, his reign I know he's only had, 3 title defenses. His reign just seems underwhelming. I'm glad that we finally have, 2 NWA champions, finally going after the big one in WWE. However, I just feel like it's not living up to the hype.
Yeah, I think once you kind of take Rock and Roman and that core bloodline out of there for a while, and then obviously Seth getting injured as well, there was naturally going to be some sort of a drop off. We had to expect
Mm.
it. But yeah, it's been there's a lot of people at the moment talking about even, potentially the belt leaving Cody and all this kind of thing, which I don't see happening in the near future anyway. But should be interesting going into SummerSlam what happens there as it starts to take momentum and stuff like that. I think in terms of the quality of the matches, I think they're really, really good. I think what's happening with Cody is with the belt is it's kind of like a list of Jericho of names that he's just taken off, and he's
Yeah,
wrestling just someone new each month, and it's like a roll call. Whereas up till now, they're after educating us back into that old school wrestling where you have long build-ups and storylines and feuds. And I think maybe what they need to do is maybe need to run it a bit longer rather than switching out the opponent. So maybe that's what they need to look at. Maybe run him versus Styles, maybe all the way up to SummerSlam or something like that, so we can really get invested in it. I often say with AJ Styles, I'm a huge fan of AJ Styles. He's a heck of a guy as well. Met him a couple of times, but I've often said that his best work tends to be outside of that WrestleMania season. That's when
yeah,
he kind of really turns it on. More often than not, at WrestleMania, he'll have a good match, but it won't necessarily deliver what you expected.
yeah.
If you think about him versus Edge at 38 and all, should have been a huge match and it failed to deliver for whatever reason. But you find once he comes out of that Mania season, it's kind of like he relaxes back into the rhythm of wrestling and then starts
100%.
producing really, really good work. So it's an interesting one to look at and stuff like that. Let's take some comments in here. Dazin, do you both think at the pay-per-view Motor City Machine Guns turn up? I hope they do.
That would be
Um,
good.
Big Machine Guns fan. Big Machine Guns fans. JSY is in. Big up JSY. Thanks for
Yep.
joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, Russ. Thanks
Hey
for
up.
joining.
Cheers, Jess.
And Acers is in. Cody will retain against AJ Styles at Clash of the Castle. Yeah,
Yeah, we,
we
we, all,
we
we
would
all know
expect
that.
it.
But yeah,
Hmm. It'll be
Baldwin.
interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if they do run it out. Could it ultimately culminate with Styles getting the belt, and how would that work and stuff like that and all? Again, it's just been so used to sort of these build-ups and stuff like that that now when you get the kind of checklist approach, it just feels weird. I said it as well, even in a lot of Seth's reign as world heavyweight champion as well, because it was a new belt and they were trying to build up this legacy and lineage of it and stuff like that as well. It kind of felt as well like it was a name checking kind of thing at times. So it was really hard to really get invested in it at times. So,
Mm.
but yeah, interesting.
We'll go on to Seth's World Heavyweight Championship run a little bit later. I do have a couple of things to say about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Remind me later on the show. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do.
JSY, big up Daz. Big up all. Roman Reigns returns at Money in the Bank.
Too
I don't
soon.
know about that. SummerSlam, I'm thinking. SummerSlam.
That's still
Uh,
too soon.
Drew needs a decent title run. I wouldn't disagree with you there. I'm a big fan of Drew. All the way back to his times wrestling for Irish Whip Wrestling. I've seen Drew having to change down the alleyways of factories and all kinds of stuff to wrestle and stuff like that. Great guy. Super positive dude and stuff like that. But I tell you one thing, I'm liking this Drew McIntyre at the moment. This kind of social media Drew McIntyre, if you like. He's really come out of his shell and that kind of thing and stuff, and it's cool to see it, And I think they're also getting. Am I right? I think SmackDown next week they were saying, are we getting Sheamus versus Drew before Clash at the Castle, which would be really, really cool as well. I love
That
when
would be good.
Sheamus and Drew work together. They've so much history together. Sean, imagine having a Scottish pay per view and every Scot losing. Listen, and that ain't a stretch. That ain't a stretch. That could easily happen when you
Yeah,
look at the
it
matches.
could.
Because for one reason or another, they're all positioned in very difficult positions in terms of picking up wins and stuff like that and all. But it's going to be very interesting to see how the card fleshes out now and stuff like that. And I love the whole Clash at the Castle. I was at last year's one. It was amazing. And I say to people all the time, when you get that UK crowd together who are so educated on pro wrestling and
Yeah.
they know how to bring in the chants and how to get into the matches and the cadence of it and all, it just makes for a super cool night. Super cool night. CM Punk will cost Drew McIntyre a Clash at the Castle.
I don't think he'll cost him at Clash. I think he'll cost him at SummerSlam.
Interesting. Did you see Drew the other day putting up the
Yeah.
CM Punk stuff and all? So cool. And I seen, what was the other video today of him finding his way out of WWE? He
Yeah.
says, you just need decent triceps or something like that. So cool. And the funny thing about it, the stuff he's entertaining us with now is some of the most simplest stuff that people
It
don't
is.
focus on. And it's just brilliant to see it.
It really is.
The mom overlords in. Yeah, I'm loving it too. I'm looking forward to seeing the crowd reaction at Clash of the Castle when he comes out. It'll be monstrous. And I hope they use his own music as well.
Oh, Broken Dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They did it at Clash of the Castle last year.
That's right. And the crowd went mental.
Well, yeah. Look at the reaction that we got from Sheamus when he came out using Written in the Face.
Yeah.
We need the old theme songs back, especially Broken Dreams.
I often find it triggers the crowd, because if you use the old theme song, the crowd think, actually, they might be going to pull the trigger and give him the belt.
Yeah.
That's what you think, because it means so much. So it's really, really cool to see that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Stacey reply, WhatsApp you. That's a message for you, I presume. Pay-per-view should only be in Europe. Yeah, there. That is a shout, isn't it?
That is a massive hot take.
Absolutely.
That is a hot take, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ian is in as well. Drew will get a song if he loses at the Clash. Absolutely. 100%. Go ahead.
If he loses at Clash now, I'm half expecting them to come out with "But I would walk 500 miles."
Yeah, imagine. What did you make of this? Frankie Kazarian giving an interview this week, and he turned around. He was asked about AEW and his time in there. Doesn't seem too happy about it at all. But turned around and said that he felt that the inmates were running the asylum. Such a familiar statement. We've heard that before a few times in a number of places, but certainly it would seem the case here as well. What's your thoughts on Frankie's comments?
Well, AEW right now, let's be honest, right? AEW are batting off more than they can chew. All they are doing is promoting these indie stars, or stars that we've gotten from other promotions halfway across the world, like New Japan. They have no clue what they're doing. They have no clue how to book anything. The most decent storyline they have had recently has been the Devil with MJF. And that's not even been that good. As CM Punk said he felt disrespected. He felt like none of the talent even cared. And even from the footage from All In, you can tell that not even CM Punk wants to be there. And with comments like this coming from people who genuinely do want to be in the company, or who have been in the company for a while, it's further reinforcing that point that CM Punk made, where Tony Khan can't run anything. Tony Khan can't even maintain his staff. It's getting beyond a joke now. AEW, they can produce great stuff. It's just Tony Khan can't run for anything. That's my two cents.
Yeah, it's an interesting one as well when they talk about stuff like this. I did a little piece the other day or a week or two ago on Aaron Anderson, and he was talking to MJF, but more to the roster about toning it down a little bit to avoid injury, so your 20-year career doesn't become a 5-year career basically. And it was interesting. He's exited the company this week as well, along with Mark Henry and a few others. But it's interesting to let that level of experience and knowledge walk out the door without leaving its mark on it, if you like. And I'm a big fan of Aaron Anderson and stuff like that. And I think when someone of the level of an Aaron Anderson talks, I think people should really listen. And hence then you go into a Double or Nothing, and then you see Edge getting a fractured tibia from doing stuff that they just shouldn't be doing. And that's the fear in there for me with AEW at times is there's no one in there to pull you one side and go, hang on a minute, kid, this is not what you should be doing. Because obviously the guy on the screen there with the mic, he keeps on rubbing his hands at everything that's suggested and thinks everything's a great idea. And this is what it leads to. But what he's doing in the long term is he's damaging the product, because now you lose Edge maybe for 6 months with a fractured tibia. He's one of your hot guys that you've brought in and stuff like that. We've seen it with Kingston going out, with Moxley going out. We believe Bryan Danielson potentially needs surgery. We spoke about it on last week's show. How many of these top guys can they lose? at a time where they're leaking viewers, at a time where they're struggling, at a time where they're trying to do new TV deals and all this kind of stuff just, comes together in that way. So it's really vital that your top guys are there week in, week out. MJF only coming back off an injury as well, So it was interesting to see Aaron Anderson's take on it, and then obviously exiting the business and stuff like that, but it sounded like people weren't really listening. Sean is in. Can we have Punk sing American Pie with Drew after he loses via Judgment Day interference? Oh, Tyson Fury. Good Lord. Good Lord. Looking forward to hearing from MJF tonight. Yeah, absolutely. He's absolutely electric.
He is.
And I actually loved it last week. I thought the positioning of it on the show was off, but I thought like the denim jacket with the leather sleeves and like he was jacked to the gills now.
Giving 2002 Triple H vibes.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen the some of the videos that were out there where they put the Triple H music over it and stuff like that. It was so cool, so cool. They should have nearly chanced their arm and done it. It would have been really cool.
Oh, that would have been funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Acer's Cocaine Can, fantastic pay-per-view booking. Good Lord.
And my thing about AEW, right, is that they have an inability, or they very rarely can grow stars, right? MJF is a massive star, and congratulations, AEW made him a star. But look at the talent they've got: Adam Cole, Christian Cage, Swerve Strickland. They're pitting Swerve Strickland against Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay's been in the company for nearly 2 months. And not only that, they buried the stars that they are going to make for people who just come in and they already make a lot of money just by signing these people. They're getting names, and because they're getting names, they're getting views. But it still doesn't make sense to me. Like recently, Mercedes Monroe, the former Sasha Banks, recently just won the not TBS, is it? I can't remember which one it is, but women's championship in her first match in AEW. That's ridiculous. We just had, I think it's Willow Nightingale. She's been grinding in the business for so long, and now she's finally in some place where she can get the recognition, and she's a champion, and everybody loved her. Mercedes Monroe comes in, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm winning that belt," and it's just ridiculous to me. I've never been a fan of Mercedes Monroe after she walked out in WWE. I feel like she's overhyped, and I feel like she don't deserve it. So instead of burying the stars that you have, instead of burying the stars that you have, make them a bigger star than you already have. Swerve Strickland, Samoa Joe, MJF. You've even got Adam Cole, for God's sake, the longest reigning NXT champion. And what's he doing right now? Is it another faction yet again?
Yeah, I think I suppose the thing with Adam Cole tends to be very comfortable in that situation, and it's where a lot of his good stuff comes from. I think the problem that they have, where I was very excited about the Dynasty pay-per-view, I thought it was really well put together. I thought the wrestling on it was really good. I thought it was structured. Now, obviously, it was long as well, and I have a real problem with the length of their pay-per-views and all this kind of stuff. I think it's too much, but it was really well put together and good wrestling, and we got, obviously, Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay, which was awesome. Bar that one little issue, of course. But apart from that, it was unbelievable. And I thought, here we go. Now we're going to kick on, and this is where we're going to go. Then you follow that up, and you go back to the fucking shenanigans again kind of thing that you just can't take serious, And when I see guys on stages with flamethrowers and all that kind of stuff, I go, this is not for me. This is not what I'm looking for. This is just stupid kind of stuff. And I just think they've so much talent in there. But whatever way they put it together and whatever way they structure it to come together, it just always seems off, just slightly off. I think Dynasty, they got it spot on. And I think once they came out of that, then even going back into the TV and stuff, it just went back to where it just reverts back to norm again. And it's kind of weird. And that's from that point of view, then it's really hard to buy into it and stuff like that. I think everyone knows the background to Mercedes Moné and what happened there and stuff like that. And, you know, the thoughts of going back to WWE and where she would fit in there. WWE at the moment are right in the crest of a wave in terms of the
Yes,
women's
they are.
divisions in every single show at every single level. And I think I'm not too sure where she was going to fit in. And then you get this nonsense. We spoke about it last week where she's coming out calling herself the goat of women's wrestling and all this kind of thing. And all, you're just there going, this is absolute delusion. So they're either doing it on purpose to generate a point or something on TV or generate traction and bring people in talking this nonsense, or they're that deluded that they actually believe it. So I'm not too sure which one it is, to be honest. Ian is in. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Just because you're part of the 4 horsewomen doesn't mean you're the greatest women's wrestler of all time. Becky Lynch, the 4 horsewomen: Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, and Bayley. Bayley right now is your current women's champion. Becky Lynch is taking time off. Charlotte Flair's also taking time off for injury. And Mercedes Moné is an overhyped wrestler. Of everything right now, the GOAT of all those 4 is Bayley. Just because of the dedication that she's put into it. Aside from that, what else?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Sean is in. She's useless.
She is. She is absolutely useless.
James is in. Big up, James. Good to see you, my friend. Plus, they have fucking Claudio doing pretty much what he was doing in WWE, just getting underused. Yeah, that would say.
My only problem with Claudio right now is that they can't do anything with him because they're trying to generate the other stars they've brought in. He was Ring of Honor World Champion. He lost to Chris Jericho, and I can't think of anything substantial that he's done since then. Aside from the Blackpool Combat Club.
That whole Ring of Honor thing, the way it came about and came in there and stuff like that, and we were kind of thinking, okay, now they're going to bring it along and they're going to create this as a big deal and stuff like that. They kind of crapped all over it, really. You know what I mean? They made it worse than it originally was and stuff like that. And this is coming from a guy. I've been a Ring of Honor fan since 2002, and even in the shop, we were the first shop in Europe to stock Ring of Honor merchandise and DVDs and shirts and everything and all back in the day, and TNA as well. So that'll tell you how much my dedication was to Ring of Honor back then. I absolutely loved it, you know. Sean, my mate stands. Though he's an animal.
To me, when she walked out of WWE because she had a result that she didn't enjoy, just no, it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of weird, and it was like as if she was testing WWE, and WWE was kind of, yeah, go off and do your thing. And I don't think she was expecting that reaction at all.
No.
This has just kicked off. Who Killed WCW? First episode was aired last night in the US, so we'll probably see it at some stage this evening or tomorrow. I did see roughly half of the first episode, and it's really, really good. They've brought in some office people from WCW who previously haven't been interviewed and stuff like that. So it looks really, really good. So what we do is we will do a review of this once I've got the full episode in the bag, the first one, stuff like that. But it's cool. I was a little bit concerned when you think of Who Killed WCW and you got The Rock heading it up as the producers of that. And I'm thinking, how does that fit? You know, but it looks pretty good and stuff like that, and it seems to be getting really, really good reviews so far. So look forward to seeing the first episode of that. So let us know in the chat, what do you think? Who killed WCW? What do you reckon it was and stuff like that? Stacey's in from Facebook. How are you? Showing the love for you on 2 platforms. Thank you very, very much. Really, really appreciate it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It's a 4-part documentary. One each week for the next 4 weeks. So it fills that void that you have when Dark Side of the Ring ends, because we do love the documentary stuff. And how do you feel about that, Russ? Do you like the kind of hidden treasures and the rivals and the legends and all that kind of stuff that they put out?
You see, I really, really do enjoy it, and I like the idea behind like these stories that are coming out about like the old rivalries. I'm not sure if they're doing an episode of this yet, but I do want to see an episode where it's talking about the Undertaker and Shawn. Like they're 2 WrestleMania matches. I want to see more about that and more behind the scenes of that, because that to me was probably the best WrestleMania match we've ever had.
Yeah,
Even the end of an era match, that's something I would love to see. And more on that.
yeah. It was interesting, actually. Yeah, Eric Bischoff on 83 Weeks was doing a review with Conrad on the first episode of this. And, it won't surprise you, obviously. Bret Hart was on it and he was saying, man, he's still so fucking bitter. You know what I mean? And it was gas to hear this stuff. And look, that's not a spoiler in any way. I'm sure that's all we know. Daz is in. He reckons Vince did it. Yeah, you could be right.
It's
Absolutely.
I don't know. If I'm being really honest, right? From what I've seen of WCW and everything like that, it's AEW, right? To me, AEW and WCW, they are really, really on the same wavelength right now, where
Hmm.
these big companies rivaling WWE, but one of them will eventually lose because one of them's the better show. So to me, a lot of people are saying, yeah, like Russo killed it and whatnot. However, it might not be a case of someone's killed it. It might just be that just ran the timeout.
Hmm.
The invasion.
Yeah, well, here's a little teaser for you. If you look at the first episode of the show, they don't blame Russo, they don't blame Vince. So I'll just leave it at that, and you can,
Oh
and they
yeah,
don't, and they don't blame the talent, and they don't blame Hogan. So there you go. So it's interesting, but delves
oh
into some good detail.
he played a big part in it. Hogan. Yeah, Hogan played a big part in it.
Oh God, Ian's in. WCW was already damaged beyond repair since '91 when they departed away from the NWA. Interesting. Actually, they did. Bischoff was talking earlier today, and he was saying that without Hogan, WCW would have disappeared by '94, '95. So that's
Oh yeah,
interesting.
oh yeah,
Very interesting. Kenny's in. Big up, Kenny,
yeah. Kenny,
friend of the
man.
show. Kenny writes some wrestling books and stuff like that and all. So pretty cool. Vincent Russo, coincidence? There we go. Is that Ray bin the W Nile? Is that Ray bin the W Nile?
Was it?
Um,
I just thought of Raven when I first heard that, as
hmm.
in the wrestler from ECW.
Is that Ray bin the W Nile? Not too sure. Give me a bit more info, Daz, and we'll come back to it. Yeah,
So,
definitely come back to it.
well, that's another conversation as well. ECW. So I like I like ECW, and I really really did enjoy it. Do you think AW is trying to be ECW or a type of ECW, or do you feel like we're drawing comparisons between two shows that have a completely separate goal? Because if you look to
I,
me, I think AEW is a combination of ECW and WCW. Like they're going down that path.
yeah, I suppose the problem for AEW after being around for 5 or 6 years now at this stage, whatever it is, they haven't really truly left a mark or moved the needle or done anything really to say that they're going to be this, that, and the other. It's hard to know. It's like they're still trying to find themselves a little bit. And I compared it kind of a little bit to TNA. When TNA was really, really good and it was kind of exciting with the six-sided ring, the X division, the knockouts division, Ultimate X matches, the lockdown pay-per-views with all the cages and all that kind of stuff was
Yeah,
really, really cool. And there's some good stuff in there. And then they kind of decided to go when Hogan and Bischoff came in, they went with the four-sided ring. So they moved away from their kind of identity. They lost a number of the guys that were pivotal on the roster. And then they decided to be Monday Night TNA or Monday Night Impact or whatever you want to call it. And that, I think, we believe was their downfall because they were supplying us with an alternative that we could watch that was really, really good. And I think AEW needs to really take a look at itself. I don't think AEW should be trying to look at WWE or compete with WWE or anything like that because WWE is just this monster of a production wrestling
oh
company,
yeah,
And I think for AEW, what they should do is they should look and say, okay, we're going to position ourselves as number two in the market and we're going to be really, really successful at that. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and provide the wrestling fans with the pro wrestling, with those really, really good matches, those Bryan Danielson matches and all that kind of good stuff. And we're going to leave WWE over here and they're going to provide us with some of that, plus the entertainment and all the other jazz and bells and whistles and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to find our place rather than kind of challenging for a place. And I think it's a good point that was made today. I was reading an article today, and the article said that like WCW at its peak, Eric Bischoff was talking about it, that they had something like 120 or 130 people on the roster. AEW has something like 226 or something on the roster.
Yeah, it's
And
stupid.
they don't even do house shows or live touring or any of that kind of stuff. It's basically just their pay-per-views X amount of times a year, plus their TV stuff. And I found that kind of staggering. And this is why they have to generate so much money, obviously, out of their TV deals, because they're carrying this weight of expense in terms of their roster and stuff like that. And that probably needs to change as well, because there's so many guys on there. It's very hard to follow their TV as well, because, you know, if you look at WWE, there's a kind of a movement that you can follow within their TV
Oh yeah,
from week to week. Whereas if you look at AEW, you can watch AEW Tonight Dynamite, and you won't have had to see last week's. You won't have had to see the week before's. You can just watch it like it's every week is like a standalone show. And it's very hard then for them to kind of, you know, where you'll get invested in the wrestling and a really good wrestling match. It's hard to get really invested in the characters because they don't kind of bring you on that journey. And that's what I kind of find with AEW. But I don't really know what they're trying to offer. I think they're kind of, because they're trying to dip their toe into a little bit of everything, it just becomes a bit of a cluster at times, and they don't really deliver then anything.
yeah,
So yeah, for me, it's you know, I like having an alternative. I like watching really, really good, solid wrestling and stuff like that. And I don't always need a storyline or a huge build up or something like that to just enjoy a wrestling match. Um, but so long as they understand that that's what they're offering me, as opposed to trying to tell me they're bringing me on a story that doesn't exist. So it's a little bit interesting, a little bit different in terms of the dynamic and stuff like that and all. But it's I know guys I'm friends with who won't watch AEW. They're just purely WWE guys. They will not watch it or tolerate it. Even for the guys that are over there from WWE, where we might tend to follow those guys when Christian goes over or Brian Danielson goes over. We follow them because we've been fans of them on WWE and previously on other promotions.
yeah,
And they don't follow them. They just cut it off there. You've left, you're done, you're finished. You're like you never existed, kind of thing. You know, it's crazy. But I can see why that can be the case as well. But yeah, sometimes I find it difficult. AEW, it's for me, it can be quite jarring and quite
yeah,
intense in order to follow it. Whereas I explained it on last week's show when I did a review of Double or Nothing and I did a review of King and Queen of the Ring. Doing a review of King and Queen of the Ring is kind of enjoyable and easy and straightforward. It's 3 hours, it's 6 matches. It's really, really easy. You go in then to do a review of Double or Nothing, and it's like you're putting together an essay. It's
yeah,
match after match after match after match. You don't know if you're even going to get to the end of the review when you look at the stuff and all that kind of thing. And it's just the positioning of stuff like, you know, that MJF Adam Cole stuff, as I said to you earlier. What was that doing coming up second on that show? It should have never been in there second because it kills the momentum and all that kind of stuff, you know. And I just find it a bit weird the way they do it. So for me, yeah, it's just, you know, I'll troll along through it because I'm a pro wrestling fan, but
yeah.
it's not always very enjoyable sitting as a fan and stuff like that. Let's take some comments in. AEW and WCW are doing the same thing, pretty much taking ex-WWE stars and not growing their own stars for the future. That's what I think. Not a bad shout at all. Great show. Big up,
Yeah,
James. Is that Ray in the W, Niall? It is. It is Ray in the W. Of course it is. Ray, absolute stalwart of the cruiser division in WCW. Part of the reason I used to watch. Sean, ECW is often imitated but never replicated. There you
nah, you will
go.
never get a new ECW ever.
There you go. Looked like him does. Absolutely. And at the mom, Overlord, I see what you mean. The Russ Bucket. Big up, Russ Bucket. Thanks for joining us. Bonkers is in. Camille is getting paid by TK but not being on yet. Absolutely. They love paying people for nothing, don't they? Seems to be a
Yeah,
pattern. It's lovely, isn't it? Bonkers, this is at Russell, his guest. There you go. Russ. Russ to you guys. Yes, it sure is. Kenny's in. WCW had Nash, Hall, and Hogan. WWE had Austin, Rock, and Triple H. AEW has Super Kick Bucks, a lad born in the jungle, and a generic Nakata. I just don't believe in the AEW guys, largely at least. Oh, what a summary, Kenny. I love you, man. I love you. What a summary. Brilliant. How many matches do you think will be at Clash? It'll be 6, probably. It'll be 6. It'll be 3 hours. It'll be perfectly timed. And it'll be 6 matches. And it'll be very enjoyable for the fans who are there.
Yeah. They need to do a 6-match pay-per-view again, because we've had a lot of 4-match pay-per-views for no reason. We had Backlash, which had 4. And then we had King and Queen of the Ring, which had 4. It was just a bit weird.
Sorry, at the upper tier, we are enjoying your accent.
Oh, yeah, you're Irish. I've got Irish blood in my family.
Oh, very good. Excellent. Yeah. My accent has been called before as being kind of somewhere between kind of thick Dublin and a little bit of Wicklow mixed into it there. So kind of East Coast, if you like. But no Diddy party, unfortunately. There you go. Darren's in. They both had 5 matches, not 4. That's right. They did have 5 matches.
Oh, yeah, they did have 5.
Yeah,
wait, what was King and Queen of the Ring? We had...
Yeah, the King match, the Queen match.
Oh, yeah. Are we counting pre-show matches? Like, because they're not actually on the main card.
They were on the main card. Because that was the main portion of the show and stuff like that. So yeah, I think they actually, but normally somewhere around 5 or 6 matches in a 3-hour bucket is absolutely perfect. That's what you want. Family originated in County Sligo. Very good. Interesting.
Yeah.
GCW, ECW. There we go. Right, what you make of this guy? This guy is supposed to be going out of contract this Saturday. Seems to be heavily featured on WWE TV. The Alpha Academy is about to explode, as we can see. Surely he's going to sign a new contract. He's not going to go out into the free market and stuff like that. So be interesting to see what happens. What do you make of Chad Gable at the moment? He's doing some great stuff as a mini Kurt Angle, as they say.
Well, I won't say mini Kurt Angle. I'd say he's the next Kurt Angle. This idea of him being this really, really good heel. Like, even the crowd are already behind him, chanting, "You suck," to his theme. The crowd are really behind him as a heel. Everybody loves him already. Everybody started complaining because it should have been him versus Gunther at WrestleMania. Chad Gable right now is currently... He's over. He's massively over with the crowd as both heel and face. He will be signing another contract, and in that contract signing, there will be a disclosure that says he will be Intercontinental Champion. I think he is winning next week, and I think he's going to have a lengthy reign, and that's going to be what draws him back into WWE. He will sign another contract. He can't go to AEW. He can't go to anywhere else. WWE needs him because right now, he's doing absolutely amazing work, and he will be your next Intercontinental Champion, even after Alpha Academy explodes.
Yeah, what I like about it, his approach as well, is he's making Otis and Alpha Academy and all those members really, really important and involved in as well. So he's kind of bringing them along with him, which is part of the art of doing really, really well. Sean is in, Russ. He wants to know, could you prove your Irish blood by saying the following? Guinness, Tato, your country is lovely, and grand old stretch in the evening.
All right, so Guinness, Tato, your country is lovely, grand old stretch in the evening.
There you go. Knocked it out of the park.
Let's go.
Kenny's in. Like, how are we to believe Jack Perry has any jungle roots? Like his dad was in Beverly Hills 90210. Kenny, I love you, man. I love you. Okay, I'm done with the AEW bashing. No, don't stop. Fire away. Don't stop now. You're on a roll. Why would you stop now? Kurt Angle's actual son.
Yeah, screw Jason Jordan. Right?
Yeah. You bleed green, white, and orange, kebab man.
Yes.
There you go. Level of acceptance. What did you make of this week? Obviously, our friend Donald Trump was found guilty. I think sentencing is to happen in July or something like that. If he's not already pardoning himself or whatever it is. But there's been lots of calls this week in terms of the Hall of Fame. Should he or shouldn't he be taken out of the Hall of Fame? People get people get so upset, don't they, Russ?
Yes, they do. You see, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a big fan of him in regards to politics. I do prefer him. However, I know he has done bad things in the past. In regards to the entertainment business and more specifically the WWE Hall of Fame, he isn't in there because of the wrestling. He's in there because he helped out a lot and obviously the Billionaires Club. Should he be taken out? No. The reason why he shouldn't be taken out is because there's plenty of controversial figures that are in the WWE Hall of Fame. Hulk Hogan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, just to name two. China, a big example is China, right? All of DX, even they've caused controversy because most of them were part of the clique. The NWO, again, part of the clique. So why is it that just because he, who is still already hated by a lot of people in the world, why should he get his Hall of Fame taken off of him because of this, when there's been a lot of other people in the Hall of Fame who we bat an eye to because, oh, well, they're not doing anything major. This guy's only getting done for what? What's he getting done for again? Like votes?
Yeah, it was. He paid over money apparently, didn't he?
Apparently.
He paid over money and stuff like that. Yeah, so kind of bought stuff and all. Yeah, so
It's
interesting though.
it's
Interesting.
fraud. It's basically fraud, right?
Mm,
And
yeah.
if you ask me, if it was fraud from anything else, it wouldn't have mattered. But because it's Trump, they're going to make a pig's ear out of it. They're going to be like, oh, he don't deserve this, don't deserve that, don't deserve that. At the end of the day, it's fraud. No one's dead, right?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the other day when they did the verdict, I was thinking Bobby Lashley can't catch a break.
No, he can't.
Absolutely, so it was interesting. Yeah, Sean is back in again. He says he's such a bollocks to Maxine. Yeah, he certainly
Yeah,
is.
he is.
And he goes, in fact, you're no longer mini kebab, you are now mini spice bag. There
Yes,
you go. You've been renamed and everything and all. There you go. Sean,
awesome.
disappointing to hear the star of WrestleMania 23, Battle of the Billionaires, was guilty. Yeah, absolutely. And it seemed like such a petty thing to go at, didn't it? Really, from the opposition and stuff like that. It was crazy.
Also,
Sickening that the star of Home Alone 2 lost in New York was a bad person. It's always the ones you expect. Hush money and probably shoplifting, farting in a lift, clapping in a cinema, etc. I'd just lock him up. Daz, if AEW had a Hall of Fame, would you put Sting in? Absolutely.
no,
100%. You wouldn't put him in?
no.
How come? That's
He doesn't.
interesting now.
He does not deserve to be in an AEW Hall of Fame. He deserves to be in a wrestling Hall of Fame. What he has done in WWE, despite his short tenure in WCW, ECW, TNA, he has done so much. And you want to limit his career to only in AEW? Where, let's be honest, his only real work was to help get Darby Allin over. And Darby Allin's massively over now. He's had an amazing wrestling career, won plenty of titles, and put a lot of people on the board, right? Even Survivor Series, I want to say 2015, 2016. Not even that. Yeah, the Survivor Series 2015, when it's Team Cena versus Team Authority. He helped Dolph Ziggler get over the crowd, over the company, everything. And you want to limit it to AEW? You want to put him into an AEW Hall of Fame? No. Put him in a Wrestling Hall of Fame. I don't even want him in the WWE Hall of Fame because he didn't do anything in WWE. He deserves to be credited for all his career in
Yeah.
every single place,
Likes of
not
the
just
Luke
AEW.
Tez Hall of Fame or something like that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where we're looking there.
yeah,
Yeah,
he deserves to
absolutely.
be in a Wrestling Hall of
Yeah.
Fame, not in just AEW, not just in
Yeah.
WWE, in a Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I kind of get the same feeling as well, with the Owen Hart stuff in AEW and stuff like that as well. It kind of just feels weird to me, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Big up bonkers, yeah, Wrestling Hall of Fame, 100%.
100%.
100%. Right, let's talk about this man, friend of mine, LJ Cleary, who was going to be appearing in this match at New Japan Dominion on Sunday. I couldn't be happier for the guy. This guy has been coming into me since he was a kid. I remember him starting out on his wrestling journey. I remember him, he won't mind me saying it, being the biggest John Cena fan and all that kind of stuff. And his career has been, and still to this day, he talks to me about it when he drops in. He's a guy I've spoken to many times about wrestling. Great guy. Great to see his development. Great to see what Fight Factory and OTT and all these different places have done for his career, and how he's gone on now and he's wrestling so good in Noah and stuff like that and around the world. Big future for this guy, LJ Cleary. Couldn't be happier for him. And a significant match as well in there was Zack Sabre, the likes of
Yeah, I
those
was about to
guys as well
say.
and stuff like that. So really, really cool. Zack Sabre is such a wrestler, such a technician. So it's going to be really interesting, and I'll certainly be looking out for if we get a Zack Sabre LJ Cleary moment in this match. Was going to be really, really cool. But great to see him and wish him all the success in the world. Hopefully it's going to be a sick match and a sick show. But yeah, shout out to LJ Cleary. Now, where are we? What do we want to talk about now? Let's see, take some comments. Disabled Team TV. Big up Upper Tier and Russell. Hope you are well. Big up. Hope you are well as well, my friend.
Yeah,
Thanks for
how you doing,
joining.
mate?
Really appreciate you tuning in. LJ is a stud. He's also facing Nick Nemeth at Scrapper. Yeah, that's the one we're going to be doing a preview show for Scrapper Mania, which is going to be really, really good. Do your homework. Get on YouTube there and check this guy out. He's been coming into me since he was a kid. Yeah, I remember him starting out on his wrestling journey and stuff like that. And he was so driven and so into it, and went through it the hard way as well. Good guy, Ian. Get behind him. One of our own. Let's take what else do we want to talk about? Delve into anything else you want to bring up, Russ, before we delve into some history?
Well, you were talking about Raw earlier.
Yeah.
Just a couple of things I would like to mention about Raw. So, for those of you who have seen Raw, have you seen Raw this last week?
I have.
Yeah. What to you is the best storyline on Raw right now? Because to me, it seems like the Judgment Day is involved in all of the major stories right now. We've got the Liv Morgan story. We've got the Damian Priest story. We've got the story with JD McDonough and Braun Strowman. The LWO story with Carlito. So, basically, my question to you about Raw is, do you think the Judgment Day will be the best faction of the new era, or do you feel like nothing will still combat against the likes of the Shield or likes of the Bloodline?
I think obviously with the Bloodline going through a transition at the moment and the talk that we're going to get Bloodline 1 and Bloodline 2 and all that evolves and stuff like that, the Judgment Day at the moment is pretty cool on so many levels. Dominic in there again, right in the middle of it, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously you've got that kind of relationship with Damian Priest, who's kind of taken on the leadership kind of role in the absence of Rhea. You've obviously Liv Morgan kind of going in there halfway, kind of all this stuff with Dominic trying to win him over, and how that dynamic is going to happen when Rhea comes back. What actually happens? Is there going to be a power struggle for, be head of the Judgment Day, all that kind of stuff? What happens with Damian Priest? There has been talk that he might step out of the Judgment Day and go his own way and all that kind of stuff. So lots of cool stuff going on there with the Judgment Day. I like it as well because obviously two of the guys that are in there I've known for a long, long time, in Finn Balor and JD McDonough. I seen JD wrestle his first ever match as a 14-year-old in a gym. And it was very, very cool. And I knew from that day, I knew he was destined to be really, really good as well. And he's really put in the hours and the mad hours and stuff to get to where he's got. He's excellent, both in the loss and in the win. He's unbelievable. But yeah, I'm looking at Raw at the moment, and I'm so interested in so much of Braun Breaker. What a destroyer Braun Breaker is becoming. The clip from last week where he came through the crowd and he just folded Ricochet.
Oh yeah.
And I seen another made up clip today, and it's Ricochet puts Braun Breaker on the announcers table, and Samantha comes off the top rope like Logan Paul and puts him through the table and stuff like that. Some of the stuff they're doing is so cool, and I kind of like as well the way they kind of bring Samantha into some of the kind of emotion of it and stuff like that and all. It's kind of cool, and I wonder have they got big plans for her outside of announcing as well, because she's becoming quite the character that's in there. But certainly other stuff that's in there. Sheamus and Ludwig is kind of cool.
Yeah,
That kind of
two
beat
really
down,
talented
rugged
people.
way of going, and stuff. Sammy and Chad obviously sells itself and stuff like that, but also Jay in there and Lyra doing so well and all that kind of stuff. So there's not a whole lot really you could really. You'd be complaining for the sake of it to really be complaining about anything really to do with Raw at the moment. They're knocking it out of the park. Everything seems really interesting. I don't find myself when I'm watching it in any kind of a lull to get to something next or something after and kind of stuff. I'm just enjoying the moment when I'm watching it and stuff like that. And I'm interested on so many levels on a lot of this stuff. It's really, really cool at the minute.
I agree. I do agree. Raw right now is a
Yeah.
better show than SmackDown. That's my hot take.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, it's kind of it just seems at the moment with SmackDown that there's kind of just a little slight little void there and stuff like that. But look,
Yeah.
I think if you're going to be second to Raw, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because I think if we didn't have Raw, SmackDown would be knocking it out of the park. It's just the levels that they're reaching and stuff like that, and also really, really cool. And then you look at NXT as well. NXT is just in the last 6 months has just elevated itself. When they did the draft lottery and they picked who they picked out of the roster, I was thinking, this could be interesting. Could be a problem here for NXT with this void. People have just stepped up, and it's incredible. And I have to say, hats off to the women's divisions in all three. It's just they're
Oh
incredible at the
yeah,
moment.
100%.
Incredible.
They've been
Sean,
amazing.
Sean and there, two of our homegrown are in the Judgment Day, but trying to say they're better than the Shield is criminal. Have the Shield, Sean, in our history take. I'll talk to you about the Shield, what happened this week in the history of the Shield. I'm sure you know what it is. Finn could be jealous. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot of turmoil going on in Judgment Day right now.
I am. I think there's a lot of us here are jealous of Dominic Mysterio. Let's be real
Oh
here.
yeah, oh yeah.
Heard about the LJ kid. He could be good fit for NXT. He could be good fit for any of the brands. He's tops. He is absolutely tops. Interested to see how this New Day Karrion Kross angle falls out. Really? I don't know. I read an article last week talking about the two boys potentially going on solo careers, and I
Good.
was thinking, interesting.
Since Big E got injured, the New Day has not been complete. They have not been able to do anything without Big E. It's because he's injured, the New Day have become mute.
Yeah.
They need to go their own separate ways. They've been a tag team for coming up nearly 8 years. That they need to go their own separate ways now. They really do.
Absolutely. And I think I'm intriguing to see what they would do with Xavier in a singles run as well, because I think he's a really talented guy and stuff like that. And also,
he's one King of the Ring. Right. If they do make him a single star, what they need to do is keep him on Raw. Kofi goes SmackDown, and Xavier needs to say, "I won King of the Ring back in 2013, back in 2023. I got nothing. I didn't even get a Universal title match. I didn't get any World Championship match. So I'm saying this now. I'm the next challenger for that World Championship."
Yeah,
Long-term
absolutely.
storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. Braun the bollocks breaker. Yeah, absolutely. The way he's folding Ricochet and then Ricochet comes out the next week and he's covered in medical tape, wrapped in it. Daz is in at JSY. Don't forget, do you fancy Premier League for the Euros? Yeah, absolutely. I'll send that on, Daz, as well to the boys. The Rust Bucket's in. Subbed and liked. I'm only here for the accent. Laugh out loud. And no, it's not Russell's. It's accent. People winning them in. Listen, if you're liking and sharing and subscribing, I'm all good. The accent's good. I like it. Hi, Suzanne. Your grandson is doing you proud. There you go. Disabled Team TV. Good stuff. JSY. Big up, mama. There you go. The Rust Bucket's in. Big up, daughter. The Rust Bucket again. Hi, Stu. He sure is. There you go.
Yay!
There you go. And Ian, WWE will be keeping the TNA brand name and titles if they buy out happens. I don't think it won't be a WWE buyout. It'll be just under the Endeavor umbrella and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I don't think
under
WWE. Yeah, absolutely. Right, shall we take some history?
Sure, I'm a big history fan, so I like history.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start back with 2010. Wade Barrett is crowned the first winner at the NXT show when the brand was a quasi-reality show.
Yeah.
And of course, we remember David Otunga as the runner-up and Justin Gabriel finishing third. I miss Justin Gabriel. I think he was
Justin
a heck of a
Gabriel were
talent.
a
He
great
was
star.
brilliant. I have to say, I loved him he was in the Nexus as well, wasn't he? And he was so cool.
The Nexus will go down as one of the best groups. It
Yeah.
was bullshit what happened to Daniel Bryan, but they still did amazingly well. It's a shame John Cena had to crush them.
Yeah, absolutely. 2014, Sean, I mentioned this, of course, and we'll tie it in, of course. The Allstate Arena in Rosemont in Illinois, I was in it for WrestleMania 22, played host to WWE Payback. The main event of the show was The Shield. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose defeat Evolution, Triple H, Randy Orton, and Batista in an elimination rules match. But of course, we remember what happened the next night. The Shield implodes on Raw. And that's where Seth Rollins chaired both boys. And the rest is history, as they say.
Plan B.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. 1973. Yeah, go ahead.
And then proceed to have another 2 reforms the Shield, and then another 2 breakups of the Shield.
I have to say, though, I did pop when Rollins came out at Mania in the Shield gear.
Same. I was a big Shield fan, so
absolutely, 100%. 1973, Dory Funk Sr. passed away at the age of 53 as a result of heart failure. 1987, at an event in Buffalo, New York, the Honky Tonk Man, this broke my heart, and I was a big Honky Tonk Man fan, defeated Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to win the Intercontinental Championship to begin the longest reign with that title in WWE history till now. He went on to hold the belt for 454 days. And of course, we know Gunther's done an unbelievable job on that. But that broke my heart that time. I was a big Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. When he won the belt off Macho, was so cool. The journey he was on and the neck injury with the bell and all. And then when Honky won it, I couldn't believe it. And if you remember Honky's promo after it, I don't think he could believe it either. It was unbelievable. No. We learned later on when we got more educated that Steamboat was actually injured at the time. So interesting. 2003, legendary wrestling manager Classy Freddie Blassie died at the age of 85 as a result of heart and kidney failure at a hospital in Hartsdale, New York. We mentioned the Shield earlier. 1989, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, made his WWF debut by defeating the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase at a house show in Boston, Massachusetts.
Rest in peace.
2000, absolutely the dream. 2000, Eric Bischoff won the only championship of his career, the WCW Hardcore Championship, in a match on Monday Nitro against Terry Funk. And I listened to Eric Bischoff on 83 Weeks, and he sometimes talks about how he never put belts on himself and all this kind of stuff and all. And history tells a different story. 2001. Jeff Hardy defeated Jerry Lynn, the great Jerry Lynn, of course, to win the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship at a SmackDown taping in Grand Forks, North Dakota. I missed the Light Heavyweight Championship. I thought it was such a cool division at the time. 2005, longtime ECW announcer Joey Styles, this will upset Sean, signed with WWE to commentate on the up-and-coming ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view. I had the pleasure of Joey Styles emceeing at a meet and greet event I was at WrestleMania 22, and he's a great guy. He's an all-around great guy. Really loved him. Cool. And I remember, of course, when he quit, that was so cool as well. It was so raw. It was awesome. Well, we see now. Where are we? John. Yeah, bloody John Cena. What a prick. Fun fact about the Shield, they were originally meant to debut with little Riot protection shields that had the shield on them. They would have been laughed out of the place. Yeah. I read another fact as well, which is interesting because we sold a ton of those. Remember the masks they wore? And apparently Vince McMahon hated the masks, and hence they got rid of them pretty quickly. But I thought they were cool. I thought the masks were cool and stuff like that. And also,
to talk about fun facts about the Shield, I've got 2 for you.
Go, yeah.
Number 1, the entire thing was CM Punk's idea to bring up 3 people from NXT into the main roster as this really dominant faction to impose a type of fear on the crowd for the main roster. Another thing is that Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose weren't the original three. They was going to put a Cassius Ohno instead of, I believe, Roman Reigns. But Vince wanted Roman Reigns because he's part of the NOI family. So Roman Reigns replaced Cassius Ohno.
There you go.
Imagine
And
how
that,
different his career would have been.
and there you go. Vince sometimes gets decisions right.
I never thought I'd see the day.
Absolutely. And we rounded out then 2006, John Tenta. They recently did a Dark Side of the Ring on him and stuff like that and all. And we did a preview, we did a review of that episode. It's up there on the channel. Best known to wrestling fans as Earthquake, died at the age of 42 after contracting bladder cancer. Very, very sad. And what a guy's fondly spoken about in the wrestling business still to this day, you know. Anything else you want to add before we drop some notable birthdays?
No, I say get on with the birthdays.
Good. Brilliant. Chris Hero could have been a star in WWE. Wow, that's a shame. Great guy. Met him at a couple of OTT shows and stuff like that. Heck of a guy, and was a heck of a wrestler back in Ring of Honor, by the way. Don't sleep on Chris Hero's early work.
I do have a controversial opinion about Chris, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention his name. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. I think, obviously, what happened was awful, but I feel like for his wrestling career, he should be recognised in the Hall of Fame. I think he should.
That's
just because he had... It is, because if you look at his wrestling career, absolutely fantastic. He did a lot of good stuff. WrestleMania 20, him and Eddie Guerrero, absolute classic. You know, classic moment of them both holding the belts up. For his wrestling career, he deserves it.
But yeah, I'm a huge Chris Benoit fan. In terms of wrestling and stuff like that and all. I met him at Mania 22 actually. Yeah, I had the privilege to talk to him and stuff like that and all. But for me, I think that would be a stretch, a huge stretch. Maybe it's just because I'm a father and I have kids and all that kind of stuff and a wife and all that as well. Maybe my feelings of that outweighs my feelings of how much I loved him as a performer and a wrestler and stuff like that. So very difficult, very difficult. Daz is in. When could Seth be back? I reckon about 6 to. I think you're probably looking around Survivor Series, maybe Rumble. I think
I'm saying Rumble.
Quite a bit of time.
He'll be be a Royal Rumble comeback. We've seen him in media, and he's gone bold.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right with Royal Rumble as well, and I think obviously with Becky taking time out, I think they both want to, just catch up on that family time and the kid and all that kind of stuff and all, and fair play to them. And I like 100%. That. I like that when they check out and take that time. Sean, not knocking him, just he never materialized in WWE. If he wasn't the Shield, he could have been huge, absolutely, and always had a great look for the business and stuff like that. And I think he came in. It's fair to say he came into WWE and he seemed uninterested. He let himself go a bit and stuff like that. Because if you look at his Ring of Honor work and stuff like that, and he was incredible in Ring of Honor. I think he tagged at one stage with Claudio, and they were very, very dominant in Ring of Honor and stuff like that, from what I can remember. But yeah, absolutely tough one. Right, let's take some notable birthdays. First of all, we got to let the pigeons out. 1981, Velvet Sky celebrates her birthday this week. Another man who we've had in the shop, an absolute legend, one half of Beer Money, 1977, James Storm. The Gainesville Guy celebrates his birthday this week as well. Also 1977, one AJ Styles. 1958, the Total Package Lex Luger celebrates his birthday this week as well. So happy birthday to him. Met him 2 years ago at WrestleCon. Great guy. Jade Cargill, 1992, celebrates her birthday this week, and what a year she's having in WWE.
Oh yeah, 100%. Already.
Unbelievable. A man who was one of my all-time favorite commentators, 1937, one Gorilla Monsoon, would celebrate his birthday this week. And of course, Clash of the Castle in Scotland, 1985, Drew McIntyre celebrates his birthday this week as well. Along with 1965, Mick Foley, and the man who's one of the greatest announcers in the business ever, the Fink Howard Finkel, 1950, would celebrate his birthday this week. And we rounded out with the superstar, 1943, one Billy Graham, the man
Billy
who
Graham.
kind of created that mystique and that persona, kind of like Hogan, kind of like Jesse Ventura, and made that pathway for those guys in terms of developing their characters. So hats off and happy birthday, superstar Billy Graham. Much loved. That's it, Russ. That's it. That's all our birthdays. That's all our look back in history for this week. Any other thoughts?
Wrestling's amazing.
It's always fun. Never
Always.
lets us down. Always something to talk about. Never lets us down.
Another thing is,
Well,
thank you for having me on your show, and I do appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come not only speak to you, but to speak to the audience.
yeah, absolutely. Rio as well, according to Twitter, Niall. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I can't fit them all in, and I like to keep some back because obviously we do this Daz every week, and every year it repeats itself. So I have to find new ones instead of regurgitating the same ones. But yeah, there's a ton of other birthdays out there, but I don't want to deliver 20, so I kind of pick some new, some old, and some in between, and we come up with a list. But great shout, Daz, absolutely. Great show, lads. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Russ, absolute pleasure having you on. You're welcome on anytime you want to come on and stuff like that. And, talk wrestling. It was fun having you on. And great to see new people in the chat as well. Hope you enjoyed the show and you subscribed to the channel. It was an absolute pleasure having you on. And let people know where they can find you and what you're up to.
So my Twitch is the Mini Kebab Overlord, www.twitch.tv/Mini Kebab Overlord, as spelled on the screen right here. I usually stream Tuesdays and Thursdays. I stream a lot of variety of games, retro, modern, fighting, horror, a bit of Resident Evil, and every now and then. Aside from that, you can see me on Saturdays as I do a quiz for JSY Talks Football Fan Channel. This quiz this week will be about 80s music, more specifically 80s pop, I believe, but it'll say it on the thing. But yeah, come on over, and if you think you know 80s pop, come on down, be a part of the chat. It's all fun and games. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, absolute pleasure, and thanks for joining me, of course. And we'll get together again real soon, and we'll talk more wrestling as we do and stuff like that. And we're hoping to bring more and more wrestling shows as the summer progresses, as the football has died down a little bit. We're filling that content and stuff like that. So we might bring back some collectors' corners that I spoke to you about and stuff like that as well. And certainly we'll be doing reviews of the likes of Who Killed WCW and all that kind of good stuff as well. So for now, folks, make sure you're subscribing and you're supporting Russ on his channel and everything else that he's doing. Of course, here as well, you're subscribing, hitting the bell notification button and dropping a like on the video and checking out all the content we have out there. Really, really important that you like the videos all the time. That's what generates that algorithm out there as well. So really, really important. Little button down there, drop a like on it. So important. I will be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock with Darren. We're going to be doing a football show. We're going to be looking at the Euros and kicking off all that kind of good stuff, plus all the latest transfer news and football news going around as always. And certainly we'll be talking about that Man City situation at the moment with the arbitration kicking off next Monday. So make sure you join us 9 o'clock tomorrow night as well for all things football. And we will talk to you again real soon. So from me and from the Mini Kebab Overlord Russ, we are now over and out. Cheers.